Some people take the straight path in life. But at Arizona State University, we respect your twists and turns. They make our online students more driven to excel in their professional lives. That's why our personalized suite of services empowers you with innovative resources and staff that sticks with you. Make your next turn with one of our 300-plus programs at ASU, a top 10 university for online bachelor's programs. Tap to learn more or visit us at asuonline.asu.edu.
So, David.
So, Michelle.
Oh, my God, my favorite person.
Woohoo!
Trump.
What, me?
No, Trump. Trump is the gift that just simply keeps on giving. To a journalist, it's like Christmas every day.
He's the herpes of global politics. He just
is.
will not go away.
He will not go away. And I'm glad he's not going away because there is so much going on and so much to unpack. And look, you know, he's on 37 charges.
You've read the indictment, I should imagine.
No, I've glanced
because I read it for you.
Thank God. Look, I think we would be remiss if we didn't tuck into this a little bit because there is some stuff that is even like linked in the Five Eyes.
Oh, mate, the stuff that he had sitting in that toilet at Mar-a-Lago. I just love the fact that you see a photo and there's a toilet and it's just like, that is Trump to a T.
And I just love that he would have people over and be like, oh, can I have a cocktail? And I'll have a look at that brief over there.
Yeah,
Thanks.
would you like to know how we're going to invade Iran?
Yeah.
Let's get on with it.
Great. You're listening to I Spied, the Donald Trump of Australian intelligence.
I just want you all to know that everything I said is right, and if they're wrong, even if I'm wrong, I'm right. And if they're right, I'm wrong. And they're wrong. And I'm right.
But, sir, are you wrong or are you right?
You're fake news. I'm not talking to you. I'm going over here. I'm cheating at golf. I'm playing golf. Look, a hole in one. Look at me.
Hello and welcome to I Spy. My name is Michelle Stevenson. I'm here with David Callan. And look, it's a good day for Trump. Well, not a good day for Trump.
It's
a good day for us.
This is the thing. And interesting enough, I even had a friend go, doesn't matter. He's Teflon. He won't get touched.
No.
It'll be fine.
I think this is it.
Well, this and whenever what happens with the January 6th inquiry, the special counsel into that. And again, that's, what's his name, Jack Smith? The special counsellor?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think his name is, it's Jack Smith.
Okay.
He's a no-nonsense, kick-ass counsel.
Yep.
Right, and this is the thing about this indictment is he has absolutely nailed it shut. There's no wriggle room in this one.
No.
Every kind of thing he's sort of like, Trump has been, well, where is it? Let's just go through. He's falsely represented himself to the FBI. He's asked his lawyers to falsely represent himself. He's lied. He's conspired. He's held classified material, and worst of all, he shared classified material.
Yes, and I think to all the people that are like, well, Biden had documents and Hillary Clinton had emails, the difference between them and what Trump has done, they handed all the stuff over and they said, oh, sorry, didn't even know I had it. Please take a look. Trump's lied and said, I didn't have a single thing. No, we don't have it. I don't have it.
Here's the stuff I have.
Yeah.
And that's all of it.
No.
And it's not all of it. And if you go through his body man, it was this naval officer who was basically going, I'm going to hitch my wagon to this star, and that star is going like supernova really quickly and taking him with it. Nuatu, I think his name is, or Nauta, or anyway, naval officer was in there as a naval attaché, or no, he was an aide or a valet. He was a valet at the White House, became an aide, and then basically became the body man. If you've ever watched The West Wing. Yeah, the body guy, the young fella who was Jeb Bartlett's body man. God, now I can't remember.
You are just like talking in riddles today.
Well, this is the thing. With it, he's really locked himself in. He's hoisted himself on his own petard. But the real problem is these are all felony charges.
They're all felony charges.
But before he was president, they were all misdemeanors. This could have been swept under the carpet and gone away. But he changed it from misdemeanor to felony charge because he was going to get Hillary Clinton and lock her up.
He's literally hung himself with his own noose.
Yes, he has.
Not only based on, the changes to the legalities around it, but also to the fact that he lied and thought that he could get away with it.
Yeah.
If he'd actually just said, oh, you know what, my bad, here you go, this would have all gone away.
Yeah. Now, the other thing, well, see, that's the thing. It wouldn't. The reason why it wouldn't go away is the audio. This is the other thing. The audio transcripts during a taped interview for someone writing a book about him that he would no doubt say he wrote. He's there going, check it out. This was the plan. I didn't make this plan. They made the plan. It wasn't me. Right? He was doing that whole thing. And I went, I could have declassified it if I want to, but, I'm no longer president, so I can't now. You better not get too close. Like, hang on, you're showing the guy the plan, but don't come too close because it's proximity to the intelligence. No, it's if you can see it or not, right? It's a really interesting point made in the indictment as well, is essentially Mar-a-Lago is not a SCIF. It's not a secure, contained intelligence facility. Therefore, it's automatically illegal. Now, one of the arguments that a lot of the GOP supporters and the MAGA supporters are saying is, well, it was under Secret Service protection anyway because he's got a Secret Service detail, as all ex-presidents do.
Yeah.
Secret Service didn't know.
No.
And it's not their job to protect it. So that argument, like all of the arguments that are being put forward are falling flat on their face. And then, of course, Jim Jordan, GOP congressman, gets up because who's now the head of the Judiciary Committee, God help us, turned around and went, we're going to have another look at Hillary Clinton. Now, Clinton sat in a congressional hearing for 11 hours, answered every question. And that beautiful photo of her with her hand, face in her hand, elbow on the desk, just looking up with like those hooded eyes going, what? What do you got? And they have nothing. And the thing is they just keep going, Hunter Biden. And it's fascinating. I really think that this could be the death knell, oh God please, of the Trump.
I think it will. I think a lot of the other stuff, like what's happening in New York against him, and also some of the other states in terms of election fraud. Yeah. I think a lot of that stuff isn't going to stick. But we knew that there was something hard and fast coming down the line for him. There was a lot of talk about it, and they knew that it would not miss. Now he's just battling from all sides at the moment from a legal perspective. Yeah. Ironically, he can still run for president even if he's behind bars. I think the American legal system is crazy.
There has been a candidate who ran from behind bars. I can't remember when, I can't remember who, but obviously it didn't work. But interestingly, like federally, surely you can't. I mean, if he's found guilty federally, he can't. That would pull him out because you can't even vote if you are found guilty of a felony, you cannot vote and you cannot run. Well, yes. Can you? I mean...
No, like there would be some irony if you could run but you can't vote.
Yeah, the white cell.
It would just be crazy. But look, what I want to break down too is kind of some of the documents that he had. Yeah. And some of them pertained to Australia, like the Five Eyes.
Now, this is the interesting thing. There are multiple documents. You've got confidential, secret, and top secret. That's the basic breakdown of the documents he had. Top secret will cause incredible damage to the national security. Oh, that's not the wording. The wording's in the indictment. I can't remember it. But essentially, top secret is top secret for a reason. It is really important. And yes, we discussed a couple of weeks ago how there is a lot of overclassification of material in the United States, in most governments at the moment. But the stuff he had was the good gear, right? And when people talk about how he might have been showing Saudi Arabia documents. There were a lot of Saudis that were going to Mar-a-Lago while he had these documents.
There is no doubt.
Something like a battle plan. And the battle plan he's talking about in the transcripts has been identified as a battle plan for the invasion of Iran. If the United States wanted to invade Iran, basically somebody, a strategist at the Pentagon has gone, we should do it like this, right? Yeah. Now, that information is top secret for a reason because you don't want people to know how you're going to invade them. Yep. And you certainly don't want their neighbours to know how you're going to invade them, particularly if they go, if we push them hard enough, we can get that invasion rolling and take that enemy off our board. So there was that. Now, when you come to the Five Eyes, there were two very caveated documents, Five Eyes and what's called no foreign. Yep. So no foreign nationals. Now, that's the same as an Australian intelligence document stamped with Osteo, Australian eyes only. Yep. No foreign is the American Australian eyes only. It's only American nationals are allowed to look at it. We don't know who he showed these documents to.
Well, let's be real. Anyone and everyone was at Mar-a-Lago and could get into Mar-a-Lago.
I think the numbers they put, there's some. Oh, here we go. I've got it here. Mar-a-Lago Club located in Palm Beach, 25 guest rooms, 2 ballrooms, a spa, a gift store, exercise facilities, office space, outdoor pool and patio. It has hundreds of members, staff with more than 150 full-time and part-time and temporary employees. Between January 2021 and August 2022, Mar-a-Lago hosted more than 150 social events, including weddings, movie premieres, fundraisers that drew tens of thousands of guests.
Yeah. And it's interesting too how, well, this is a sidetrack, but how everyone was saying how this is going to agitate his base and this is good for him politically. And look out, we might have, Jan 6 riots happening again, something along those lines. And they thought, when he came out after pleading not guilty, that they were planning up to 50,000 people were going to be there, standing behind Trump. And they said they were in the hundreds. So I think what we're seeing is the slow decline of a man who is losing all grip on reality, and these are very serious charges.
I think the reality he's got a grip on is tenuous at best anyway. And a really good example of that is the fact that he kept saying, I can, just by saying it's declassified, I've declassified it because, and I think we've discussed this before, the originator gives you the go-ahead to declassify it. There are forms that need to be filled out. Now, when you are the president, you can go, I want that declassified.
Yes.
But there are still T's that need to be crossed, I's that need to be dotted, forms that need to be signed in triplicate and put on various files around the place. Now, the interesting thing about this was the fact that when you look at the boxes that were in the ballroom, in the storeroom, in the bathroom, in all of these different areas, having worked in an archive section for ASIO for about 6 months where we had to go through old files and take them apart, there is a lot of crap that you've got to get through. Press clippings, junk, stuff that's unclassified.
Yep.
So essentially, it sounds like he was just grabbing whole files, dumping them in these boxes and being very selective with it. So the fact that there was this incredible material in there, people had to go through and find it. But when you read and guys, feel free, I will post it on our Twitter feed at iSpied Podcast.
Yep, at iSpied Podcast.
See, I did it correctly for all change.
Yeah.
Right. So the whole thing is what he has done is he has literally locked himself. He's painted himself into a massive legal corner. And not only is he losing supporters, he can't find a lawyer.
Well, yeah, and interestingly enough too, his aide is facing 6 charges. Now, his aide is continuing to work for him and has yet to enter a plea, and I would be surprised if he doesn't flip on him because
see, this is an interesting thing. I don't think he has been indicted, therefore he probably didn't front the grand jury, which is an interesting thing. Why wouldn't you put him in front of the grand jury? Probably because that would give Trump an idea of what they're looking for and but by then they must have known what was going on. He must have. The whole idea is, as you said, that tenuous grip of reality.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing was he's spent the lead up to the arraignment going, they're thugs, and I love the fact that we're going to get rid of the communist, Marxists and fascists. It's like, dude, pick a lane.
And what was interesting too, a lot of the stuff he was talking about, they're going to threaten me with 400 years in prison for possessing my own presidential papers. Now, what he's referring to there is the Presidential Records Act of 1978. Now, that governs the preservation and retention of official records of former presidents. And it also gives the National Archives and Records Administration complete ownership and control of presidential records.
Yeah.
The law makes a distinction between official records and personal documents and has applied to every president, but he did not hand those papers over. So what he's meant to have done was, when he was leaving, he's like, I'm going to hand these papers over. Barack Obama never handed anything over. Barack Obama just walked out and left everything.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. When you look back, Barack Obama, would he have had national security documents with him? You know what? Probably. Literally, I remember when I left the organisation, I left with a box and I picked up all my personal papers, and in those personal papers was a security document, which I immediately went back to the building with and handed to the guards and went, oops, my bad. Right? That is what you don't want to keep it on. And to be honest, yes, it was classified. It was junk, right? It was because we classify things until we realise do we need it or do we not. And then we realise we don't need it, get rid of it. But it's not mine to say it's classified or unclassified. I just hand it back, right?
Yes, and that's kind of what Trump was saying. He was saying, Barack Obama never handed stuff over, and the National Archives said in a statement that Barack Obama actually turned over his documents, classified and unclassified, as required by law. So he just walked out.
Now, the other thing as well is when there is the transition in office, it literally at midday on the 20th of January, When the president is, the incumbent president is sitting there behind the newly elected president, and that newly elected president is being sworn in by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, guys run into the Oval Office, take everything that belonged to the last president out. So, I want those paperweights and I want that, all of the stuff that he put in there personally, all of the stuff that was taken from the National Archives, the Smithsonian, the galleries, all that sort of stuff, everything gets moved out. The carpets get changed. The drapes get changed. The only thing that stays in there is the Resolute desk and the chair and the phone. Everything else gets changed out, and that happens in an afternoon. Now, that's the Oval Office, but everybody else in that administration would have had their boxes packed. Now, the other thing is, that didn't happen in a day. This gathering of information must have taken place over a long time.
That was a lot of boxes. Trump also said the decision to segregate, which is kind of what we touched on earlier, the personal materials from presidential records is made by the president during the president's term and in the president's sole discretion. Now, the Presidential Records Act defines what constitutes personal materials, such as diaries or political campaign documents from official records. It does not give the president sole discretion in determining what is and is not a personal record.
No.
So that's under the law. So he makes a lot of these, and I mean, why are we not surprised? He did this throughout his whole term as US president.
He's done it throughout his entire life.
He just kind of throws stuff out there, and you can easily just fact check it. Now, he also said he was supposed to negotiate with NARA, which is exactly what I was doing until Mar-a-Lago was raided by gun-toting FBI agents.
Again, when it says, this is another classic, and an interesting article that I've read is about his oral style, which some people have said is incomprehensible. He's just rambling, and he doesn't like working on script, and he's very bad at working off script.
Yeah.
But when he just rambles, the interesting thing is, as someone said, he's a New Yorker, and he's learnt New Yorkers like to finish each other's sentences. Now, what he does with his rambling speeches, where he improvises, is he never finishes a sentence. There's a great example where a guy's gone, this is something from one of his speeches. And when you read it, it is incomprehensible garbage. And it's thought lines going everywhere. The thing is, he never finishes a sentence because he wants you to do it. He wants you, and like I said, we got to fight them because, you know what they want. Your little brain goes, the Chinese want to take my job, or
it's
the Mexicans want to, you fill in the blanks. So interestingly enough, when this guy this linguist was looking at him, he interviewed people leaving one of his campaign rallies. Yeah. And what was interesting is, he was speaking to me about this, and the one line that he kept presenting to people saying, what did he say about this? What was he talking about here? Everyone, they all had different ideas of what it was. And interestingly enough, that's his appeal, is the fact that he makes you think you came up with the idea. He never finishes a thought. He never finishes a sentence. But on the flip of it, the other thing that's very interesting, and there's a great article in golf.com talking about how and why he cheats at golf.
Yeah, because he's a cheat.
Everyone who's ever played golf with him
says he cheats.
He cheats. Now, the interesting thing is, someone said he's a 6-year-old that cannot lose. If he loses, it actually causes him mental and physical pain. So he will always cheat to make sure he wins. Yeah. But when he cheats and it gets caught, he says, but everyone does it. Right? So this is the thing. He's a shifting target. And what's interesting about when you look at what he's taken here, this feels like this was the plan right from the very beginning. What can I get out of the White House that I can turn into monetary value down the track? I really think that's what, all of the excuses are so.
We all know that he operates off of what he knows about people. His leverage has always been about what he knows about certain people. And I think a lot of the stuff that he took kind of helped alleviate or give him kind of that clout when it came to what he knew. And also I think for him it was a bit of a look what I've got.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, when you look at the transcript, it's like, oh, look at this, isn't it cool? Yeah, I've got this, and they did it for me. I didn't do it. They did it for me. I didn't know. And it's like, dude, you were the president of the United States. Yeah. And what was interesting was the author, the author and the publicist who were having the meeting with him went, oh, yeah, that's interesting. But then the stuff was like, laughter. Yeah, laughter. Oh, yeah, you could get in trouble, but we won't talk about it. Laughter. And it's like, you guys are in on the con.
Yeah, and so when we also look at some of the other stuff that he had in those documents, there was the stuff about Iran.
Iran. Yep.
So, was it it was a bomb plot or something?
Well,
or
here's
an
let's just go-
invasion?
The documents came from the CIA.
Yeah.
Department of Defense, the NSA, the Geospatial Intelligence Agency, the National Reconnaissance Office, the Department of Energy, that's the nukes, the Department of State
because
Bureau of
there was
Intelligence and Research. It's like he
A
had
lot of
everything.
people were throwing out theories that he had nuclear codes in there. But
They'd get changed.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, as soon as you get a new person in the administration, they're going to change those
Yeah, of
codes straight
course.
up. Like,
Of course.
Those little cards that they
it's like
snap
changing
and-
the lock on your door.
that card that they snap and there's the card inside the little plastic frame that it sits in. So, I mean, that stuff gets changed, right? You don't keep the same locker combination when you go into the White
No.
House. It's a new locker combination. I'm pretty sure they would change the keys. But the other thing is you look at the transcripts of the text messages where Nota had basically said, I didn't know. These boxes were being moved around and no one told me about it. But then there's all these text messages between him and they're called Trump Employee 1, Trump Employee 2, and Trump Employee 3 going, look, we've got 60 boxes down here. What do you want? I need 30 of them moved into this corridor just outside his residence. I want another 20 moved here. I want you to take the 10 that are in his office and move them down into the storeroom so when they come and look, they knew it wasn't a raid. It wasn't in the middle of the night kick to a guy with a battering ram and
No.
guys in SWAT
They
suits.
knew what was going on.
They knew what was going on.
And it could have all been avoided if you just handed them over.
But then there's the thing of Trump Attorney 1, Trump Attorney 2, and Trump Attorney 3, who were the guys who's like going, can't we just burn this? Can't we just get rid of it? Can't we hide it? Can't you put it in your office and say that you don't know where it? And it was all of these things he said until it came down to the form that they had to sign for NARA saying, we've done as you've requested. Now, Attorney 1 and Attorney 2 were the ones who did all the work on making sure that the documents have been taken care of. It was Attorney 3 that they called in and went, can you sign that document to say it's done? So now you've got two guys that have actually basically compromised their legal careers because what they've done is they've been part of that conspiracy, though I'd say they flipped to save themselves from getting disbarred.
Yeah, of course.
But number 3, who was asked and agreed to sign a form that she didn't actually know what was going on with. She didn't know the truth about it. So all of these people get compromised. And again, he would regard that as their due job. I mean, what he's done to, Bill Barr was the guy who basically destroyed the credibility of the Mueller investigation by basically turning around and saying there's nothing there when it was loaded with a whole bunch of stuff that compromised Trump. Even Bill Barr's got up and said, yeah, look, he's not walking away from this one.
No. Look, I was going to bring up Bill Barr, but even he's been charged under a 100-year-old law that has been used to prosecute spies and leakers.
The Espionage Act.
The Espionage Act. So, and earlier cases have all ended in prison sentences. Yeah,
the highest, I think the biggest sentence was, and I love the name, Reality Winning.
Yep.
Have you heard of her? What a great name.
Reality Winning.
Reality Winning was, again, another Air Force intelligence officer who started accessing material that she shouldn't have. And she gave, I can't remember what the document was, but she gave it to the press. And, it was information regarding Russian interference in the 2016 election. Basically, it went, this is the investigation that's been going on, and it is true. The Russians were interfering in the 2016 election, the Trump election. So the whole thing is she got pinged for that. I think she served something like 5 to 10 years. I think she got a 5 to 10 year sentence, but she was out in 5. And this is the thing. It's like it's happening a lot, but this is huge. Right. Snowden's bad. And
this is big. Well, this is big because, this has never happened to
a president. Right? It's a president. And I love the fact that you go through and there's a great thing of number of presidents, the list of presidents, number of times they were indicted for espionage and, or indicted. And it was 0.5 next to Nixon because he was about to get indicted, but he was pardoned. And it's 71 against Trump.
Yeah.
Right. This guy is, I'm finding it interesting that there's a lot of journalists and a lot of analysts out there right now going, no, you got to, I can't remember one journalist, I think it might have been David Spears, said, what is Albanese going to do when Trump becomes president in 2025? Because he said nasty things about him. It's like, dude, between now and 2025, Trump has got some mountains to climb.
Well, I also think like there is a big fear of if he does get up in terms of winning the presidential race, there is a thought that he could, put off a lot of these charges and put it off just so he could run, and then if he gets in, then he can
get rid of it.
He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
But I don't think. I mean, he lost to Biden the first time. I don't think his support has gained any traction. If anything, he's lost a lot of people.
Yep.
The only thing that could see him getting up or getting close is two things. Governor Chris Christie, who was the governor of New Jersey, has put his hat in the ring for the Republican charge. I mean, he would be a great front runner in the Republican race, but Trump is there. But I think he'd be great. Biden's age is really something that is going to put the Democrats on a back foot, because when millennials and people of color go to vote, they're not going to vote for an old white guy. They just won't.
Yeah. I mean, look, but the thing is, Trump is an old white guy. He's not that much younger than Biden.
He's 77.
And Biden's what, 80?
We know from having elderly parents, 10 years is a massive difference at that age.
Yeah, but...
a massive difference.
My mother is turning 88 this year. Sorry, Mum, I told everyone I'm really sorry. The thing is, she used to work for an organisation where she would pick up senior citizens, drive them to a morning tea in a church hall every Thursday morning, and they'd have a speaker or a musician or something, and then she'd drive them back to the nursing home. And she quit when she realised that she was the oldest person in the car. She's a highly functioning.
My mum's 84, and she constantly repeats things and can't walk and falls over, kind of like Biden. So And I know we're going to get where there's that one guy who thinks
no, he's blocked us. He doesn't.
Great.
He's taken his bat and ball and gone home. And my thing for that, and what's really interesting is and this is specifically to this listener, is, mate, we are not saying he's doing a bad job.
I actually think he's doing an incredible job.
We're saying that the chance of him being able to sustain doing that job is the issue.
Yeah.
And if that is the issue, who is going to replace him in the Democratic field?
Yes.
Because, God damn it, I just don't know.
But when it comes to this is something our country, and of course, a lot of our agencies would be looking at closely. No one would want Trump to get back in, because what would he do with Five Eyes? What would he do with, the things that kind of bind us all together? And also, he wouldn't be great for the safety of the world.
Predictions are that if he got back into power, the first thing that would happen was all the aid to Ukraine would stop. Boom. Done.
Yeah.
He would do everything in his power, and it's not because of... we can talk about how much he loves Putin. It wouldn't be that. It would be the fact that he turned around to them at the last election and said, give me any dirt you got on the Bidens.
Yeah.
I need to win this election. And the Ukrainians went, fuck off. Right? No, we're not doing that. And we don't have any dirt. And basically people have said that he will sell them down the river simply out of pure spite.
So we have a former US president charged under the Espionage Act.
Yeah, rare occurrence.
Allegedly holding these documents that pertain to Five Eyes and Iran and all these countries, which I would imagine these countries don't look favourably upon.
That is the big issue now, because literally the Five Eyes are now sitting there going, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Your president was,
Your idiot president.
Your idiot president was showing this stuff in a ballroom or was sitting on the dunny and reading it, and thinking, ooh, how much can I make out of this? That does not put the US in a very favourable light at all. Interestingly enough, though, on the flip side of that, most of the world be going, Jesus, how did you make the mistake of electing that guy?
Well, yeah. But look, we've all made mistakes.
I haven't.
Many countries have made mistakes.
Yeah, I have, actually. I made more than a few.
This is something that we will definitely follow. I think more will come out on this, and we'll probably know a bit more about what those pages contained. And I would imagine that more would come out in terms of where we sit under the Espionage Act. And
most definitely that's going to come out. One thing that is not going to come out, I'm pretty sure, is you are not going to see the contents of those documents. They are still classified documents, so it's not going to get out.
But didn't he say they're unclassified, and so now they're unclassified?
Yeah, that was the argument that we've already addressed. That he doesn't have the power to magically wave a wand, or a golf club in his case. Now the thing is, and this is what I really want. This is what is interesting is. he's doubling down on the stupid at the moment because he was told in New York, he was told in Florida, do not talk about this. First thing he does is go to a rally and then start talking about thugs and that Jack Smith and I'm going to take him down.
Yeah.
What I loved about it was Jack Smith sat in that courtroom in Florida eyeballing Trump and Trump sat there meekly and would not even make eye contact. And it's like basically Jack Smith's gone, you're the schoolyard bully. Bring it, bitch.
Yes.
I want to see what you got.
Yes.
And basically Trump sat there and did what all bullies do, sat there meekly going, it wasn't me and I didn't do anything and I'm a really good boy. And I think that's what's really telling is he's getting exposed not just to the rest of America. His followers are looking going, you're a bit of a pussy.
Yeah.
And that's what's really interesting about this one. He's finally got one person. Mueller got caught up with with Ray. That's the other thing. Everyone says this is a Democrat plot. It was a grand jury, so it's 12 of his peers, 12 American citizens that were jury selected with both lawyers in the room. The other thing is it was his FBI director, Chris Wray, was appointed by him.
It's also the judge is
the
Trump
judge was appointed by
him.
Everyone involved in this process, other than Smith, who was appointed by Chris Wray anyway.
Yeah.
He is the only person that wasn't appointed by Trump, but he was appointed by somebody who was appointed by Trump.
Yes, so it says a lot.
Yeah.
Look, let's hold it there and we'll take another look at that. Now, we don't really have time to talk about this, but a big thing happened today as we were recording, and that was all about the Russian embassy. And I think next step, we really need to unpack this because I unpacked some really interesting stuff. And if to our listeners, go and check this out because it's going to be really interesting.
There is a new legislation coming out in the ACT where they are going to ban Russia from building a new embassy.
Yes. Now, we briefly spoke about the Russian embassy.
We spoke about this before, so I'm really like, oh, wow, we've got a follow-up episode.
Yes, and it's going to be a really good one because I've unpacked a few other things when I've taken a little bit of a deep dive.
So I just you did the reading, I just get to sit here and be briefed and ask questions and make glib comments.
And just go,
I'll just do what you do and look at my phone and go, yeah, that's good, Dave, or whatever.
Yeah, I'm answering emails. Okay, that's it. Next step, that's me. I'll be you.
Yeah, you be me. I'll be you. Gee, I'm going to have to dress a lot better this time.
You definitely have to dress better.
Boy.